Hey folks, just out here in my shop today and doing a quick selfie to catch everybody up on things. I've been a little busy. We got awoken the other day to a call from our son who has been, let me get this turned around, attending to Ted and my stepdad. One second. And he, I'll take a brief historical step back here. My stepdad he left his farm a little over a year ago, moved into assisted living, and then he had a fall incident last summer. And with the advent of COVID, the staffing situation in the nursing home situations is bad. Basically, he agreed to go into a nursing home, even self-paid. He wanted to be able to control his existence in the place and be able to control his privileges, things like that. So he self-paid at St. Augustana in Moose Lake, and he's been there since roughly, July of last year. He had fallen in his assisted living apartments, and because of their staffing shortages, nobody answered the response, and he laid on the floor for almost 3 days and very nearly passed away from that incident. He had pancreatic cancer, stage 4. He was not in a lot of pain. He was also actually doing chemotherapy. At first, they didn't want to try it, but was stubborn enough to where his cancer just quit growing. So he agreed to try chemo, and it went from there. He was actually making a lot of progress, and he was doing a lot better as far as the cancer is concerned. But chemo's chemo, and Grandpa was born in 29. So, and unfortunately, as much as we want time to be with us, this is the way mortality works. Ecclesiastes has several examples, and right now it's a time to mourn. And sadly, Theodore Goebel, T.H. Goebel, for those in Haines, Alaska, the ex-commander of the American Legion way back in the 80s, or 70s, I believe it was actually. He also used to own the Tradewind buildings when it was a marina. Sold out, and it changed hands numerous times after his divorce. Anyway, he left Haines after living there for some 20 odd years and took over his family farm. And he raised a large herd of cattle and had a lot of good memories down there. And Mom's gone since 9/11. She died on 9/13. And it's just been Ted. And basically 2 years ago, the farm just fell apart where he couldn't keep up with it anymore. The furnaces were failing, the water was failing, the form was failing. It wasn't that well built. We're not the best builders. And Ted took shortcuts to get that structure up. He wasn't working when we started it. And the herd was young. I have no legacy. He viewed me as a step. He honored that totally. That's the response I have for any of my relatives that think that there may be an inheritance in mine. People, he self-paid at a home for a year. He bought a Can-Am Defender so they couldn't take away his right to drive. And so that cost money. We have enough, I guess he has enough to take care of his final expenses. He had those prearranged. So, but there's no money here. We were working people. There's nothing to pass on. And I'm a little offended that one of my sons actually brought it up. I'll forgive the drinking part aspect of it, but your thoughts don't need to go there. That's not the way we're built. And he passed away on Monday. No, let me take that back. On Wednesday, June 1st. They woke him up for morning rounds. He fell back asleep. He went in his sleep. He was tired. But it's an end of an era. I thank my stepdad for providing me the guidance that I needed. In many ways, I'm still trying to figure out who the hell I am. But Dad was a rock to me. I had a childhood where I had just been, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go into it, but my older brothers had a vastly different upbringing than I did, and I just want more peace in this situation, and I'm a little disappointed in my children and their behavior. So, if this is going to cause terms where we may not speak, so be it. But I will not apologize for the actions that I've taken, because I have no right to speak to my wife in that tone of voice. I don't speak to my wife in that tone of voice, and I will not tolerate no-neck bastards raising their revolutionist fucking bullshit with my old lady. My old lady is not your fucking property. My old lady walks next to me. I don't own her or possess her, and your issues with her are between you and her. But you don't yell at her, and you don't treat her like the way you treated her. And don't lie to me. I was sitting in the room when the conversation happened. I hear high noises just fine. It's been a bitter and disappointing week. I'm hurt. I'm tired. I'm trying to get a trip together on very little resources, and I don't appreciate the back talk, honestly. But I'm trying my best to honor my stepdad's memory. I've contacted sources in Alaska. He deserves to have his news shared. And I don't know where I'm going to go from there, because I know I'm in an emotional state and don't feel good. So, but I don't appreciate children trying to assume that we don't matter, making plans, things along that line, because you don't understand the dynamics between, especially like my brother and myself right now. If you want to have a get-together at Kurt's house or something along that, if you ever bother to check with me. I literally talked to the man for the first time longer than 6 minutes, just the other day. We're not on speaking terms. I'm not ready to visit. I'm going to the funeral and burying my dad. I'm going home. That's it. I've got crops in the ground. I've got a garden to tend, and I have animals. So I don't know what to tell you. This is not a time to celebrate. This is a time to mourn. So that's all I got for now. I've probably taken too long, but I wanted to give everybody some updates on what's going on. I will no longer be returning to Minnesota. Our farm is gone. Everything's gone. So at least I know that I can now start to turn my miles west and dedicate my travels, at least, and those expenses to seeing things that I want, and just carrying on with my life. My relationship was quite complicated with my stepdad. He was in my life for well over 40 years. And I sure seem to find a way to always fuck things up with him. I miss you, old man. I do miss your brutal honesty. I'm going to miss what we had developed over the last couple of years. Because we've gotten a lot closer than we've ever been. And it sucks that it had to happen in the twilight of his life. Ted never lost one bit of his brightness or of his awareness, and he was a magical man to the very end. I gotta go.